Pluto transiting Saturn. And we're mentioning all the difficult transits, all the major transits which will actually you'll really feel, which is the conjunction, the opposition 180 degrees when Pluto is passing 180 degrees from Saturn, and the square when Pluto is passing 90 degrees away from Saturn. And the conjunction is, of course, the strongest one when it's passing exactly over the position of Saturn in your horoscope. And this is extremely rare transit. You have it just once in your life. Some people would even never have it. You know, it happens once in, I don't know, more than 60, 70 years that Pluto aspects your Saturn in a significant way with one of those transits. And this transit usually continues. It's a whole process. It's a slow process that takes about 2 years sometimes even 2.5 years. And it's a constant, it's not constant, but there are a few peaks during these 2 years that the events and the psychological changes are happening in you, which Pluto wants to make happen. And Pluto is the god of change. And Saturn, what is Saturn? Pluto wants to transform fully whatever it touches. And it will do it if you have this transit in your life for about 2 years. From a few months or even a year before the first hit of Pluto transit to your Saturn happens until the last moment and a few months after the last hit of Pluto Saturn happens. And Pluto Saturn can have 4, 5, 6 or even 7 hits within these 2 years. And exact aspects this means. And Saturn means your stability, means everything that you find reliable and proven, that gives you security and foundation in your life, everything that you kind of think it's set in stone and you feel very stable about. This is Saturn. And Pluto wants to basically break this down and show you that maybe if your foundation is built on unstable ground, on sandy ground, for instance, it will, when Pluto transit Saturn is coming, you will be changing definitely the foundation of your life. You will be changing what you laying your reliance on what the things that you rely most in your life that you think are most reliable will usually Pluto will annihilate those. It will make them seem inadequate, or it will just, these things that you rely most in your life will just no longer be fulfilling, will no longer be available. So those foundations of your life, Pluto totally wants to break them down so you can build a more secure foundation in life, something which is based on more truth, on more authenticity in your life, and on more stable grounding. And this is what Pluto would usually do during this period. And often Saturn represents one's career, because one's career and job is usually the thing that gives us the most security in life, that gives us the foundation of our life. What you're doing, Saturn rules work and effort, and usually we put this in our career. And when Saturn squares Pluto or conjuncts it or makes an opposition, is very similar always. This means that within those 2 years period, there is a very likely chance that you will change your jobs, that you change your career. The thing that you rely most on in your life for stability will be somehow broken down, because Pluto, this is what it does, is a planet which breaks everything down so it can rebuild it again. Pluto is symbolized by the bird phoenix, which burns when it gets very old. It burns, and out of the ashes rises a new resplendent bird. And this is exactly what happens. Pluto breaks down your old security system, your old foundation in life, which is Saturn, and brings you a brand new one out of this annihilation. And you might be very fearful during this period. I had it in the last 2 years, and this is when I changed my career from having a very cushy position with really good financial, security, which I which gave me my total sense of stability in life. When Pluto came, I knew I had to change into a new direction, and I started my new career as an astrologer. And it was very hard because you have fears from the new. You have, you're scared if this is going to work or no, but Pluto is relentless. There is no point resisting these changes. Because Pluto is a power which is stronger than us, to be honest. However fatalistic it sounds, it's a cosmic power that wants to break down the old barriers of the person and the old security system and foundation, so you can build a more secure and authentic and real one. And I came out of this transit extremely grateful, even though it was very painful and difficult transit of the transformation from one foundation base in life to another. But I've never felt more fulfilled after that. I've never felt stronger. Now my foundation in life is much stronger. I no longer depend on a company which can fire me. I'm my own boss. For every person it can be a different thing, but the thing which gives you most security will be tested right now, and very often you will be, all the old things in your life, habits that you thought will always be there, can also be broken down as well. Saturn rules everything that is like a habit in your life, and Pluto annihilates it and wants to rebuild it again. And Saturn is your self-discipline again. We said Saturn rules hard work, and one of the best things that Saturn represents is your self-discipline. And Pluto, and how hard you are on yourself, how hard you push yourself. And when Pluto comes, it wants to fully restructure this. So if you were less disciplined before, when Pluto comes for these 2 years, circumstances will put you in such a position in your life that you will train yourself to be more disciplined. You will look at your self-criticism and self-discipline. You'll push yourself harder. You'll learn to be much more enduring, have much more endurance and patience and perseverance. This is what Saturn represents. And if it's the opposite, if you always were too hard on yourself, if you always were too negative on yourself, you were pushing yourself too hard, you were pushing yourself to the limit, you were going in the other extreme. One extreme is like lacking all self-discipline and self-control, which Saturn rules, which Pluto will change and make you have this. The other extreme is if you've been the opposite. You've been pushing yourself too hard. You never gave yourself a break. You were too hard always on yourself. You always criticize yourself for the smallest thing. So Pluto comes and it transforms fully. It breaks down this attitude in your life. So you start after this period, you see that pushing yourself too hard, or that being too hard on yourself and too critical, self-critical on yourself and even others, Saturn. This is the inner critique within yourself. It's no longer actually helping you in your life, and you move to another consciousness and level of expression, your self-criticism and your self-discipline on a more productive level, which which is not too extreme, which is not breaking which is not breaking your connection to being able to enjoy life. So whether you are underdeveloping, if you have an underdeveloped Saturn before Pluto came, which means like underdeveloped self-criticism and underdeveloped patience and endurance and underdeveloped ability to work hard and self-discipline, Pluto will help you, force you, develop it and express it in a higher level, in a better, more self-disciplined way, more structured way. And it usually does this through crisis situations, it doesn't, we don't want to learn the easy way, most of us. We have to be pushed somehow by outer circumstances to do this. And those of you who have been developing and expressing their Saturn, the self-discipline and criticism and hard work to the other extreme, actually by harming yourself and by being too hard on yourself and others, then when Pluto comes, it wants to mellow it, to help you get to the middle, and it usually does it by even making your self-discipline even more extreme at the beginning, and your self-criticism even more extreme, and your fear of the unknown. Saturn is the fear of the unknown. and trying to stay attached to the earth. It makes it even more extreme. So you can something like a breakthrough happens in your mind. So you can push on to the other side, and you release this desire to always control everything, to always push yourself hard, to always, self-discipline and discipline everything and be strict towards everyone. So you can find a more middle ground. So this is what Pluto usually does. It usually pushes you and makes the extremes, makes the manifestation of some problematic area in your life more extreme. So the pain that you feel and the consequences that you happen in your life push you to move your consciousness on a higher level of expressing this planet, and on a more healthy and more balanced and a more stable way of expressing it. And as we said with Saturn, this is your foundation in life, the things that you always thought you can be secure on, they will be changed and they will be transformed to be more reliable. But first through a crisis, by losing this reliability, by losing this safety. And then your self-discipline, the inner self-critic and the inner teacher that you have now is being rebalanced by actually pushing it to extreme, so you can see the futility and the craziness of the way you have your self-control, self-discipline, or the way you don't have it, so you can rebalance it. I hope I was able to explain to you. Please share with others what your own experience was of this Pluto transit on Saturn, what events happen in your life, but most importantly, psychologically, what happened within yourself, so others can see the meaning behind this transit, whatever painful events or more difficult life circumstances might be happening, so people can see the deeper meaning of the process that are taking place in him, and why the gods are punishing him like that, what the reason behind is, for the improvement of what things in his life. Thank you so much.